Well, it wasn't even etiquette. It was more just everything that you don't like about a bathroom. So, good morning. We're not going to talk about bathrooms all day today. That was yesterday, but glad you're with us. You just got back from vacation. What did you guys do?
Nothing went right, and I got COVID. So,
no.
Good morning.
Yeah. Dee, so you're sick now?
I am. Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't this like the 8th time you've had it?
I've never had COVID before.
I keep telling you, Dee, you can't keep making out with all those weird cowboys at the bars.
I'm the last one now between all the 4 of you. I'm the last survivor.
Yeah, I've never had it.
I haven't had it yet. So how did you know it was that and you just aren't sick? You went and tested?
So
is testing still a thing? I wouldn't even know that. I'd just be like, I don't feel good. And then
I just took the at-home one. But the boys, when they were on their way home, and his sister texted like, hey, I just tested positive for COVID. You might want to test. So when they got home, they tested. They were both positive. And I was like, I don't feel bad. So we'll see. And then yesterday morning, I woke up and I was like, oh, no. So I tested right away. And I texted Chip. And he made fun of me.
Well, I mean, it's the first time you've had something that's not required penicillin. So I wasn't really sure how to react.
That's fair.
It's the first time we didn't have to notify a chain of people.
I didn't have to contact trace who you've been with over the last week.
All right, that's kind of funny. You have to admit that. That's kind of funny. Well, I'm sorry that you have it. I'm sorry that you're sick. That stinks.
Well, I mean, and it's funny that you say that, Sarah, because the COVID numbers are actually spiking really badly again, but no one's paying attention to them because of all this other stuff going on. So
I was like, I thought we were over that.
Yeah, the COVID numbers and hospitalization rates are actually getting pretty high again. So.
Well, I don't know. I thought that was done. Now we have to worry about a flesh-eating bacteria virus thing or whatever.
Monkeypox.
Whatever.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. Or it could just be, I don't know, Hollywood. Who knows?
Whatever other conspiracy they want to create.
I can't handle another one. I'm just going to go on record. I'm sitting this one out.
Yeah.
In every way, shape.
Magically overnight, people forgot about COVID when the war in Ukraine started. So.
Yeah, kind of. That's what. So I'm just sitting it out now. If anything else happens, I'm out. I'm not playing. I'm going to take my piece and go home. I'm done. It's just too crazy. So what'd you do, Dee, before you came down with lupus?
Yeah, we did too much. We did like classic country things. You know, we went down to the river.
No, we don't know.
Yeah, what is that?
I know. I texted her because she was asking me about like movie ideas over the weekend, and she was like, "What's that stare thing you keep talking about?" So I sent her like 4 different shows to watch, and I was like, "Hey, what'd you end up watching?" She's like, "Well, we did the tour of Delta." I was like, "So what'd you do the other 23 hours and 45 minutes that day?"
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Uray, but it was cold, so we just took them down by the river, which, you know.
That sounds like a bad date. I went down by the river and
it was terrible. They're like, this is terrifying. We don't have service. Are you guys going to like tie us to a fence post or?
They're not wrong. They're not wrong to question motives, right?
And you would take them down by the river. Why?
Just because it's pretty, because the kids went swimming and we were fishing and yeah.
Oh, so it's a water hole.
Yeah. That sounds worse. I don't know, water hole, river, whatever.
All the same thing.
What river runs through Delta?
All of them. Gunnison. The Gunnison River is right at the end of town.
I didn't know that. Where?
Yeah,
we went
through.
Well, like when I think of rivers, I think of like the Arkansas and stuff like that, which definitely does not run through Delta.
Over by, if you're going to go up to Grand Junction Way, that one that runs under the bridge. Okay, yeah.
And
that's where I buried that carpet that I didn't need anymore.
Right.
And we went up to Rubidoux Creek, which I'm sure you don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Rubidoux Creek, we've been there 1,000 times. It's where we brunch on Sundays.
Yeah, and they probably, are they outdoorsy?
Ish. As long as they can drink, they don't care where they go.
Well, kind of, because there's a lot of walking outdoors. So there's a very big difference between drinking outdoors and drinking inside and watching a movie.
No,
This
they
is
hike
with
and
walking. Okay.
they hike and stuff, so it wasn't a big deal. We brought a whole brought a whole brunch and spread to sit while the kids and
Okay, so
everybody
that's a
was
great
eating.
question. What did you, because I know I might have a very different idea of what that spread should look like and what you're bringing. What did you bring? What was in your picnic basket, if you will?
Oh my gosh, we had like everything, like chips and candy and stuff for the kids, but we had like dips
Okay.
and what else did we have?
We went from everything to chips,
Everything
candy,
to-
and dip. This is a horrible picnic.
Sorry,
Horrible.
COVID brain. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, let's blame it on COVID.
No, yeah, we just had a bunch of different like dips and pretzels and things. It wasn't like too extravagant. And then a
So
cooler.
it was like a 14-year-old boy, like movie night is
Snack.
basically what it was.
That is kind of how the whole weekend was. Yeah, we just were like a 9-year-old with $100, getting ready for a movie. Yeah.
Okay. The funnest thing ever, and I hope they're not watching, but I had my nephews up here for a golf tournament, one of the partners ones one time. And I was like, they were so good. They did the golf tournament and they helped me move a bunch of stuff and they were so sweet and they were teenagers. And I gave them $100 and I let them loose in Walmart and I said, just buy whatever you want for the weekend. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to, because their mom is pretty healthy. Like, she makes those bean brownies and tries to stick kale in everything. Bless their hearts. And I was like, you just go do whatever you want. Here's $100 and each. That's a lot of stuff. And they came back and they had a cart full of just crap. They were in a coma for like a week after that. I've never actually babysat them again since.
You're the madness one.
Right? They were like, I don't know why they were in a
Mm-hmm.
diabetic coma by Tuesday. I don't know. But no, I would see, again, it's different though. I'm on a sushi kick right now and I haven't had it in a very long time and I'm dying.
I love sushi so much. I miss it.
Sushi on a hike?
If it was you had a cooler, it might be good.
Yeah, I don't know that I could eat sushi in the woods like that. To me, that's an environment. Like I'm at a hoppa in the dark environment with a waiter, with my lobster roll. Like, I don't.
I guess if it's fresh fish out of the stream.
But then
Okay.
you'd have to put your fingers on worms and put it on a hook, and these are fish as kids. And
Dirty old worms. Yeah, I'm not a fisherman.
I like to fish, actually. I can do
that's
that.
gonna be the title of my new memoir: Sushi in the Woods.
Sushi in the woods.
Can I write the foreword? I actually can do the whole worm thing, and I can kill it and I can gut it. Don't look like I was in that.
You and I've
girl-
talked about this multiple times on the show. I love watching Life After Zero, but it kind of breaks my heart when they kill animals. But then every time it happens, I have to go, no, you eat meat. Like, you just don't kill it. Like, it's the same thing. Like,
Look at Shauna's comment. Shauna, you are so fearful. Every comment that she has is don't do that. Don't do that. It's going to attract the bears.
The bears.
I mean, there is a lot of salmon and tuna in sushi, and bears do like those things.
There's also like wasabi and spicy mayo, and I don't think they're really coming. I don't know a bear that's like, oh my gosh, I smell avocado. Go, 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 go.
They eat out of trash cans.
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
I'm not
but I'm
sure
just
that their
saying,
palate is that
You don't
refined.
think that chips and salsa bring them running too? I mean,
I think
the
people
bear
do as well.
smells food. I don't think it cares what the food is, but
Right.
I don't know. Well, what would you bring then, Drew? You're like, sushi doesn't do. What would you bring?
I don't picnic in the woods, so this would be interesting.
But if you did, what would you?
I don't know. That's
I mean, if you're barbecuing, I get that's not really. But if you're just like going down,
When I was a kid, we
Maybe
used to go
somewhere.
out and take barbecue to the stream in the mountains in Tennessee, and they would do burgers and stuff like that because there were barbecues all over the place.
right? I get if you're barbecuing, but that's what I'm saying. If you're not barbecuing, what is your?
If I was truly packing brunch, I would be packing a waffle bar or something like that.
Okay, see, Dee, this is why if I'm going to go into the
Chip
woods, I'm going with
bar.
Chip and not you, because we
Well,
have a
that's
Because you
okay.
could
local
easily
bar.
pre-make waffles and then bring some like chocolate and like strawberries and like
Where's all this
Cool
going? I guess
Whip and-
I'm picturing like a backpack. Where are you putting this stuff?
That is
if
ridiculous.
we're
because
hiking,
if I'm going on a picnic, there's a basket involved that's really neatly lined with linen and has plates and stuff in it. And
See,
like,
that's why
like
if I go
Yogi
into
Bear.
the
Yogi
a
Bear
big
had a
blanket.
picnic basket.
yeah.
I mean,
That's
we
why
do
you go
have
into
like
the woods with Chip and not Dee, because Dee throws candy at you and
No,
takes you
that's
down by
not
a
true.
river.
we have like meat and cheese and fruit. Like
You didn't say that. I asked what was in your basket, and you said
Because I
candy
lived.
and chips.
I honestly could not remember. I don't remember what happened.
Now
COVID
you're
brain
just
is
making
real.
stuff
I'll
up.
admit, when I had COVID, it was
Yeah,
bad.
you're spacey.
I don't know. I apparently am spacey for other reasons if I'm spacey, because it's not a thing. But I don't know. So I agree. The reason I don't want to go camping half the time is exactly what I think you're picturing, Drew, which is how do you carry all that stuff? I don't want to carry all that crap in.
Yes.
Well, you get
So much work to prep for it and to like plan for it and to pack everything. Then you have to carry it all in, and then you sit there for 5 minutes. It's dirty. There's bugs. There might be
Me
other.
and my friends would go
truly-
camp and go whitewater rafting on the Arkansas. Like we would go literally just for the weekend. We would set up like a party night on one of the tents, and like we used to have a disco ball that would hang in the tent and all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome.
But literally, we would all bring so much because we'd have tents, we'd have coolers, we'd have drinks, we'd have food. Like we literally got to the point where some of us, if we had trucks, they would be filled to the brim, or like one of the guys used to have to rent like one of the little U-Haul trailers to pull because we would take so much stuff just for. It's kind of like us when we travel, just for the weekend.
Okay, first of all, we don't
A
need to rent a
U-Haul.
U-Haul when we travel, but
Pretty
Um,
close.
difference. Are you like driving your car up to the camp spot, or are you truly like hiking in? Because if I'm hiking in, I use completely different gear. It's all
Yeah.
for backpacking.
I'm not hiking into anywhere unless it's into Neiman Marcus.
I'll take you to a real nice
I
spot.
would like to water raft. That's fine, but I'm gonna like go to where the bus takes you and drops you off, and you are in the, and then you just go climb on the raft. You go down, and then another bus picks you up.
Yeah, that's when I've rafted. If that's what they've done every time.
And
Have
if I'm
you
gonna hike,
floated?
I'd rather just hike, and then like you stay at a hotel. You get up in the morning, you go hiking all day, you get gross, you go back and you shower, and then you go to dinner, and then you sleep in a nice bed.
My favorite rafting place out of Buena Vista is called BJ's.
There you go. BJ's rafting.
Of course it
Complete
is.
shock. Complete shock that that's your favorite. I don't know, Shauna, you are a scaredy cat. So that's the funny thing. You are like super fearful of stuff, and you sleep in the woods.
On the ground.
I mean, if you want to be honest, that's when shit's going to happen. You're in the middle of nowhere with like you have a nylon thing around you. You're basically like a snack pack.
And somehow, like bears and stuff know like where your head is at and stuff in tents. Like it's the weirdest thing. Like anytime someone's attacked in a tent, like the bear always knows where its head is at, where the person's head is at.
Are we talking about the same kind of bears right now?
That's what I was
be
going to
complaining.
say. I was like, I'm sure they do. I probably get really good at that. I just think that's more dangerous. So all of you campers, I don't even understand that, because I would be more worried about that kind of a bear than the bear that we saw, because that's more of a civilized bear. I don't know if there's such a thing as a civilized bear, but I think that would be, maybe he was wearing pants. And that other bear is more of like a outdoorsy bear, like a nature bear. And that's the one that's going to hurt you.
I think they'll all hurt you.
I'm pretty sure they would all.
We're not used to people, is I guess to my point. So actually, I got into this
That's like
conversation.
saying I got a pet tiger and it's never gonna hurt me. A tiger's still a tiger. Like I don't care how much you think you're gonna tame it. Like an animal is still an animal.
Yeah, what
Well, that is true.
Big Korean
you
Roy
have to
proved that one.
respect. Yeah, you have to respect nature. Nature versus nurture. That's a whole other show. Nature is always going to win. But speaking of, and mountains and what you were talking about, do you guys believe in Bigfoot? I got into this discussion with someone the other day about Bigfoot.
Sasquatch.
Isn't that the same thing, or are they different?
That's what I call Drew when his shirt's not on.
You're not that hairy, geez.
At least he didn't say you, D, or me. So I was really like, at least it wasn't, oh, that's Sarah after she hasn't shaved. I don't have enough hair to even qualify, but what? Yes, no. Are they the
I
same?
promised Dee I wouldn't talk about her mustache anymore.
Yeah, or Yeti or whatever. Yeah.
So doesn't it depend on the region? Because like,
I thought Yeti was snow.
yeah, if it's like in the
Yeah.
snow or whatever, it's Yeti, and then
All the same. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what's it? Well, I don't think they think they're the same. What's the difference between a Sasquatch? What?
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
And
I
Nagan has
agree.
that.
Like, I think you see the Yeti and the snow, and the Sasquatch is not. Like, but I think
the
they're the same thing.
abominable snowman and the Yeti.
Yeah, the
are the
abominable
same
snowman that's from Rudolph. I don't think he's real.
Well, I don't think a Yeti's real either. Let's just be honest. So I'm just saying those two are winter things. But then the Sasquatch and the I
Bigfoot.
just forgot what it's called. Bigfoot. Apparently I have COVID brain. The Bigfoot, those are mountain warm weather ones. Do you believe in either of them?
Why do you say you don't think they could be real?
I didn't. I don't think Yetis are real. I don't know why. I think warm weather ones might exist, but cold weather ones don't. I don't know. I think that's a polar bear someone saw and they think that it's something, or it was a bear that had alopecia. That maybe was a little more erect in its walking and then had a loss of hair. And they were like, oh, look, it's I don't know.
I'm Googling.
Shauna says bear spray. And I don't know, Shauna, if that works on
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. I know I cannot remember Bigfoot. That's not that hard to remember.
I only tend to think that they could be real because there's still thousands upon thousands of animals as humans that we haven't even recognized here on the planet.
Well, that's true. Your family still is in the Appalachian Mountains way back there.
There was always stories.
There's some dense forest out there.
I think oceans, like, I don't think that the Loch Ness
Oh, yeah,
Monster
the
is
ocean.
real, but I think there are things in the ocean we have not seen or we don't know that are in
Well, the
areas.
Loch Ness Monster actually lived in fresh water, I'm pretty sure, not an otion.
Yeah. You know,
I don't know. I don't
Which
think
is
it's
why it's called the Loch Ness Monster. He was in a loch.
I don't know. I have a lot of things in my mind, which is not freshwater or ocean water for some
Or
Scottish.
monsters.
Scottish? Is that a Scottish thing? Ireland? It's over there somewhere, isn't it?
It's in
But
Scotland.
again, like the ocean is so big, the Amazon is so big, like there's no way we know everything that's there. So
So you think that there is, and is it a man or is it an animal?
I
So-
think it's an evolution. If you see the like Bigfoot or whatever, it clearly looks like an evolution between like a monkey, a caveman, and where we are today.
So is it someone who just gave up? They're just like,
Gave
screw it,
up.
I'm going into the woods. I don't
Yeah, I'm out here.
Yeah, I'm just done with all of the craziness, and just they walked off into the woods and that was it. And then they just like took something and made it, and then that's just kind of what keeps happening.
How they become hairy head to toe.
They're Italian. I don't. They started Italian. I don't know.
Oh, here comes the hate mail from the Italians.
I have no idea. Mediterranean. I don't know. They're not Swedish. Let me tell you that. I couldn't grow that hair if I tried. So I don't know.
What's fascinating to think about is that, you know, being real is that with all the technology in the world we have today, we can't find them.
Well, see, so
Yeah.
I am kind of saying, I don't know. Like we could find, what's his name, Bin Laden in the middle of a cave somewhere or whatever, but we can't find a hairy giant 7-foot thing. It
Well, I
has
don't
to
think the
eat.
U.S. Special Forces are out looking for Bigfoot. though.
Exactly.
You never know. It might be our next threat when we're done with monkeypox. That might be the next thing that comes in.
There probably
I
is a
don't think
few.
you have the CIA and the U.S. Special Forces and NSA and everybody looking for Bigfoot.
I don't know what they do. They can't tell you, or they have to kill you, right?
There's probably a
So-
couple out of Area 51, so we're good.
Okay, that's not real? Area
Oh, yeah.
51.
Yeah,
No.
it
Yes, it
is.
is.
They just
It's
disclosed
absolutely a military base in
100%
New
real.
Mexico. And actually, the people
Not
who work
what's
there live
in
in
it.
Las Vegas, and they fly them from Las Vegas to Area 51 every morning and every night.
morning and every night. Yep.
Yeah, but
On
that
the-
doesn't mean that there's stuff in there. Just because
Well-
there's a. I mean, Cheryl's husband worked in the mountain in Colorado Springs, whatever that was. I can't remember the name of that right now.
NORAD.
Yeah, he worked in there and had like the suitcase and the whole code and the whole thing, and she didn't know half of that while he was doing it because he couldn't tell her. But there was no
Yeah.
like alien in there, but it was in a mountain.
Well, NORAD's never said they had aliens. NORAD's supposed to be a communication center against atomic
But Area
bombs and stuff.
51 didn't say they have that. They just said that they have a site. They haven't
Oh,
said
they
what
do.
they have in there.
There's actually a lot of documentaries
Yeah,
on
they
stuff
do.
that goes on around
Oh,
Area 51
so it's a
at night and
documentary.
stuff.
It's real.
Well, what do you think about Bigfoot?
I'm asking. I don't. You know me. I am the skeptic. I don't believe in crap. So that's why I was like,
You just have to watch Harry and the Hendersons.
There
Oh
you
my
go.
God, I love that movie.
That was a good show.
what is that?
What
It's
is
a movie
that?
about Bigfoot. It's from like
A documentary
1984
about
or
Bigfoot.
something
Yes.
like that. But
That was our generation.
yeah,
We watched Harry and the Henderson.
I have no idea. Is that a movie or a documentary?
It's a
It's a movie.
documentary about a family that finds Bigfoot.
Okay. Is it a cartoon?
and
I'm guessing it's a cartoon.
they
by
accidentally
Griffith.
hit him with their car, so they take him home with them and nurse him back to health, and he lives with them.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't. I'm gonna say I don't think they're real. I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna say it.
I think we're naive to believe we're the only species.
That's what I was
Like
gonna
this.
say. I go. I
Yeah.
think
That's
there's
well.
so
That
much in
wasn't the
this world
question.
that
The
we
only
don't know
species,
that
Yeah.
we're naive to believe
Bigfoot?
that there's not other things.
Yeah.
like on the planet or
Yeah.
off the planet. Those are two
Both.
different, very big
Both.
questions. Both.
Imagine like the deepest part of the oceans and stuff like that that
Yeah.
no one's been in. I mean, there's tons of life.
I agree with that.
no
There are
one
things
has
we
been
haven't discovered, but I'm specifically talking about Bigfoot, not some worm on the bottom of the ocean or. I don't
in.
know.
So let's say Sasquatch lives in a warm area. I mean, there's parts of the Amazon people have never been in. I mean, like there's lots of places. I mean,
Mhm.
I just think that we would have, I don't know, unless there's only one. And then how has he lived this long? And then if they're having offspring, one of them is going to be like, screw this, I'm out. I want to go see what it's like in New York. And then it's going to be like the Elf movie. Actually, there you go. There's a movie for you right there. One of the family like goes to New York and then has to figure it out just like the Elf guy character did.
Mm.
Did they speak English? Did they just grunt? I mean, there's a lot of factors in here that we've never found a carcass.
That we know of.
That we, well, they're supposed to be like 7'5" unless an NBA like team got like gunned down somewhere in the Amazon. I'm pretty sure we would know that versus like, you know, Papua New Guinea little shorter people by bones and no. Oh, it got really quiet from the sayers.
I'm
So
Googling.
I would say theoretically, if they're intelligent, they would have the same rituals and like religion and whatnot that is required to be like a civilization or you know, smart species. So they would bury their dead. That's why. I'm just saying, is the only thing that comes to mind. I'm not a Sasquatch expert. I'm sorry.
but yet all of that religion and like you said, burial sites and all of the civilized, and they have language we'd never like see a totem pole or a building or then anything. They live like totally like on the down low constantly.
Maybe.
It's possible they live.
No, I
somewhere
wish-
we've never been.
I wish a lot of people would live on the down low like that. Is that wrong to say out loud?
No. Have you ever watched that Bigfoot show? Because they always say that like you can tell where there's a Bigfoot, there are markers and whatnot.
No, Chip only watches the prison ones.
That is not true. I've been watching Life Below Zero, and I started watching about a show about the zoo yesterday, which is really good. The dog loves it. So
The dog loves it. I do love the Life Below Zero. I'm into Port Protection right now. Have you watched that one, Chip?
I turned the first episode on, but I haven't watched the whole thing. So.
They live in basically like a rainforest. So you know where like on Life Below Zero, some of them have like gardens and they have chickens and other stuff. These guys live, obviously it's a port and it's like really rainy, like almost all the time. But what I find fascinating is like 90% of the show is like they have no firewood. I do not get that. If that was your source of heat, I would pretty much think you'd have that dialed in. Like you can't cook without it. You can't, like they don't have washing machines. Some of them live on like a floating.
I mean, Life
floating
Below
house.
Zero, it's in like season 18, and I will say I'm in like season 14. It becomes really repetitive that, oh, I'm building a cabin, I'm getting firewood, I'm going fishing, I'm hunting for birds. Like
And I know everything gets flown in, and I mean I get that, but at some point, like I don't understand and maybe that's how they want to live, is the day-to-day survival. I just think that would be they're like, it's a simple life but it's a hard life. I mean, I do get that, but I'd also go, at some point, could you cut down multiple trees and just have that like taken care of? They're always like, when it snows, the whole world's ending. Well, it's going to snow. What were you doing? And it doesn't seem like, I don't know. I just don't feel like they're very smart. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but they're not very smart about how they fish. They're like out there one at a time. And then what's his name? Curly, the one guy goes out with his dog, Junior. He sits in mine. He's like, well, Junior, we're not going to eat today. If I was his dog, I'd be like, dude, I am out of here. You are just not. I don't know. I do not get it. Do you watch those, Drew and V?
I have no idea.
I like Alone. That one's my favorite.
That's the one that they get in different spots, right? And they have to Drew just had a stroke, his camera. Where they get placed somewhere and they have to survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple meltdowns that I was pretty surprised on that show. Right away, too. And then they cry and they're like, I miss my family. I'm like, dude, you've been here for 12 hours.
Oh, yeah. They don't even make it through the first night. And they're like, it's just
it is not about your family. It's about the fact that you were freaked out about the wolf sound. Just acknowledge that you're afraid you're going to be eaten.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with that.
They find people that think they can survive until they get out there and they're like, oh, no.
Which I get. I mean, I do understand that would be a little scary because you have like hardly anything. You've got to find your shelter. It's raining, you're cold. But call it what it is, which is probably like, I'm cold and I'm hungry and I don't want to do this because I think I'm going to die. But they're like, I miss my kids. I'm like, dude, you've taken a weekend boys trip for longer than that and been just fine. It has nothing to do with your kids. Man up and just admit it.
And it's not as unsafe as they may portray it, because like we watched Naked and Afraid, and I was watching an episode the other day and they were in Africa somewhere, and the elephants started to move and they started to get too close to participants, and the producers actually came in and moved them with the wildlife game experts with their guns and stuff like that. So like they were watching them and protecting them.
Yeah, there's a huge liability.
Oh, I'm sure liability. I mean, I'm sure they waive some, but I'm sure there's also like, I'm sure they sign something that says I could die, but I'm sure they're not going to just be like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and if you cut your hand or whatever, like they're like, hey, I need a medic, and there's a medic standing there, and like,
yeah. Who's the other guy? What was his name? Bear Grylls or something like that.
Oh, Bear Against Nature or something.
Yeah, where he would actually take his it was just him and his camera. That's a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
Than what Chip's saying. Like, it's like Survivor.
Yeah,
like,
usually if you watch Bear, like Running Wild with Bear Grylls, they usually have one cameraman who follows them around.
Okay.
Well, and he's always like, okay, this isn't smart. I shouldn't do this. Where like Naked and Afraid, I feel like they take people and like, let's see how stupid you can be. Well, first of all, would you guys do it? Would you do Naked and Afraid? Would you do that show naked?
If I was naked, everybody would be afraid.
Do they get paid?
They have to get something because they're getting.
You'd have to pay me a lot because you're
TV.
not taking that back.
They're getting ratings. They're making the show's making money. I'm sure they're paid actor. They're getting like some kind of fee. Google it.
I'm on it.
GTS. D, would you do it?
I would rather do like Alone or something like that than Naked and Afraid.
Where you have clothes?
Yeah, clothes are important to me.
That would be, because I feel like, wouldn't that add an extra level of vulnerability on top of, first of all, you're with other people. So you have to kind of like get over that pretty fast. And then there's always the a-hole in the group. So you got to deal with that. Because isn't it two of them? And one's always the troublemaker that just can't work together.
So this is not actually paid for being on the show, but they give them a weekly stipend to compensate for their lost wages, which amounts to about $5,000
a week.
Oh, no. And how long did they do it?
21 days.
So roughly 3 weeks, basically. So you get 15 grand. No, absolutely not. That would have to be a lot more than that. A ton more. I wouldn't do one day for 15 grand naked out there.
Well, and for me, like I couldn't handle like half the time, like they drop them in the middle of like the Sahara in Africa. I'd be burnt in 15 minutes.
You would just be laying in the
give me sunscreen.
He would just be laying in the shade. Well, that's the other thing too. My feet are really sensitive. They don't have shoes.
Well, in some of
Oh,
the
it's
areas they walk, like they complain about like the stickers on the burrs and like things like that, and yeah.
I wouldn't care about the sun. The sun, like, I mean, it would burn and it would probably be really irritating, but fine, whatever, or put some mud on. I don't know. But it would be the no shoe thing I would struggle with more than anything else.
You'd have to build your feet up before you go. Just start walking around barefoot everywhere.
Yeah, I spend a lot of money to have her scrape that off. I don't know that I really want to build that up, but I don't even know if that would help. I mean, I just think you're stepping on, I don't know. I would lose a lot of weight though, because there's no cookies out there, no
I would
margaritas.
have a hard time sleeping at night, not because of the big animals, but because like you see like they have
The bugs.
centipedes and fire ants and like
Ooh,
I just
fire
and I
ants.
think everything on me is open. Like what keeps something from crawling somewhere it shouldn't? And
Well, that's why you snuggle together and you kind of, you either go back to back or whatever so that you at least can fight something off.
because at least like in Africa, like they can build the shelters that have like the thorny vines and stuff to keep like the lions and stuff out. So I wouldn't be so much worried about that kind of stuff there, where you're pretty safe, as I would like a centipede crawling up my butthole.
You never seen
I don't think that's where a centipede wants to go. I'm just saying. I don't think they're like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting all year for.
I don't know.
a
It's
hole to go
warm.
in."
It smells nice. Like now you didn't mind me.
Maybe to a centipede, that is not their jam. So that's not even what they're thinking about. I think it would be more like all of the biting bugs that would be awful.
Yeah,
Like-
insects would be gnarly.
Yeah, because you'd start itching and then you'd get kind of irritable because you'd just be like, oh my God, like I just itch, I'm burnt. My feet I cut my foot.
Well, when we watch Life Below Zero in the summertime, like the mosquitoes are out of control.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I could handle that for 5 minutes, and I'd be like, someone's got to do something with these mosquitoes.
I don't know, 5 minutes.
West
And I
Nile.
would be like itchy. Because once I get like, you guys get like that, like something touches and you're just like, then you just get itchy. And then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that the clothes thing would be humiliating. Like that would be hard because but you'd get over that pretty fast, I would think. And you'd be like, all right, everyone saw everything. Let's
Well,
just
we were watching an episode the other day, and Kevin and I was laughing because one of the guys, he kept standing like this, like covering his chest, but like his junk was hanging out. Why are you covering up your nipples? Like,
Maybe he was more confident with,
yeah. Maybe he's more proud down there than the
yeah.
nipples.
He's like, it's fine. It's
Well,
fine.
it's
I
on
don't know.
camera too. Not only are you being humiliated, you got like a recorded camera footage.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Do
It's
the
going to
whole
be
time.
more than 15 grand because that's like in
Yeah.
history. You can't
Yeah.
erase that. Once it's out, I mean, it's out there. And then they're like building things. So you're bending over and you're picking up sticks and you're
Are they
in
not allowed to make?
compromising positions. It's not like you're just like behind a tree and you can kind of like hold leaves or something. You're
Are they not
hiking.
allowed to make something that covers them at all? Period.
sometimes
you
they
are.
do, like they have bags, and a lot of times they'll like put their bag over the front of themselves or something, or
Mm.
like they can make things. So.
But how like annoying would that be? You're trying to survive and catch a fish and you're constantly trying to position your stuff. How are you going to even do anything? You need your hands. I would be like, just stop it. Nobody cares about your junk. Go catch the fish. I don't want to starve. But but I think they put people together that like would irritate each other on purpose so that it causes more drama.
Yeah, it's a
Probably.
TV show. Yeah.
I think, and I wonder how much is scripted. They say it's not, but I wonder if it's not. You think it is? I think they encourage them to be difficult with each other.
Probably.
I think there's facets of it. Otherwise, it'd be a boring show.
If they just worked well together and got along and
Yeah,
made it
it'd
to
be-
their destination and like, and they're not, none of them laugh. Like they don't have a good time. Like if you're out there in the middle of nowhere, at least have fun while you're out there.
For me, it's kind of like, did you ever watch the Amazing Race?
Oh yeah.
Once when it first
you
came
see-
out, I think.
You see the couples that were successful, like they got, much less TV time than the ones that were battling and arguing and drama and all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's
I
kind of
love
the
the
same
Amazing
concept.
Race. I that's actually one show I could go on. So
That'd be fun.
Well, that's a little different because you
because
have
it's a lot
clothes
more of
and
a
you have,
scavenger hunt kind of. You have to think your way through things and like.
Yep.
yeah, it's more like a tape scavenger hunt in a way. But even then, like, I don't know. There's some people that I would have a list of who I would go on that show with, and I have a list of people. There's no way.
Oh
because-
no, you have to like on The Amazing Race, like you have to have a very specific partner for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
the first time some sort of like obstacle came up and they freaked out and like sat down and cried, I'm out. They'd be like, no,
Because like I don't do water, so like my partner would have to know how to swim. So
I can swim. I can swim. But if you're going to burn and sit down and
All
cry,
that whitewater rafting, you didn't know how to swim? What do you do?
no, and I've done it actually lots of times. The first time I went, there were class 5 rapids too.
Yeah, and I can't swim? What's the deal?
I was a little scared. I won't lie. So,
well, why would you do that if you don't? Why don't you know how? Why don't you know how to swim?
hey, it's not just me. Marcus doesn't know how to swim either.
Chip, we're going to teach you how to swim. We'll get this
It's
done.
not that hard.
I have this fear.
People get those little
I'm
wing
in Sarah's
things
claustrophobic thing. My head cannot go underwater. As soon as that water closes in around my head, I'm out.
Oh, see, I can I can go underwater all the time. It's just if I have something like the not submarine stuff, the scuba stuff. That is different because I can't hold my breath. I can go underwater all day long because I can hold my breath, but I don't know.
It is
Yeah, that's
different
true.
about
If
the
it's something
scuba.
you're going to put me, what is it? Oh, fear factor. That was the other thing I was going to talk
Yeah,
about.
fear factor would be, yeah.
Would you do it?
I would be good until I had to eat something. That would be where it'd get me.
They make them eat the bugs. Like they'll stick their head in a box, like surrounded by all these like centipedes and stuff or snakes.
That's scary, but the eating thing, when they started making, I think that's where they figured out people were really struggling is eating. So
You
it
won't
started
even eat a tomato.
Well, it started getting like nastier and nastier with stuff they had to eat, you know?
The cave spider is the last time I watched that show. I loved it before. And do you remember the cave spider one? It was like this. It was huge, first of all. And if you Google it, it's fighting her. I think it was a her that was eating it. And it's like feet or whatever are like pushing into her cheek, like pushing back to get out. And I was like, okay, different if they're just making you eat a cow ball or something that's dead. But this thing is alive and fighting for its life. And we're watching you eat it for months. Like I
know, like one time, one of the episodes, they had to eat raw Rocky Mountain oysters, and like they were having to tear through the sack with their teeth, and then
okay, gross, but it's dead. It's
and that's
not a
kinda where I go,
live thing.
I don't know if it's why would that be a fear? Like doesn't
Because it's
scare
just
me.
gross.
Doesn't scare me to eat it. It's gross. Like, I mean, so why?
Well, okay, so
yeah,
it's a
like they had
gross
big
out versus
5-gallon buckets next to them because like they'd take a bite and they'd be like puking everything.
Right. Yeah.
I see. I think that one they buried them in coffins, and then your partner had to dig you out or
I was
something.
gonna say I've seen them. Plus, they do some like where they'll like lift a car like 10 stories up in the air, and you have to climb all over it and get like stickers off of it.
I'd rather do that one than the coffin one. If you put me in that, I do not trust one mofo on this.
You're afraid of heights, so I don't think you
that's
would
going
like
to get
that
me
either.
out. No, but I would do that over get into a coffin and trust someone to dig me out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that would be scary.
No,
Yeah.
ever. I'll dig you out, but I'm not getting in there. And I couldn't do it. I don't care how much money was on the table. You would literally have to knock me cold to shut that lid. I couldn't.
So it'd have to be. So your fear is not necessarily buried. Your fear is being in a tight, confined place.
Oh yeah, like literally. Sometimes if an elevator is super full and we're going really far, I'll just wait for the next one because I'm like, that is way too many people. And if that thing got stuck, then you start sizing up who you have to take out first. And I don't know what survival, like they're going to come in an hour and I'll be fine. But in my head,
So you couldn't go to like the Empire State Building or anything.
I did.
Those elevators are
I
big
did.
and full, and like they go up like 80 floors.
And it took a lot of tequila. No, I did. But I was like, I literally had to just breathe. I just had to I got very small in my space. And then I just was like, I had to close my eyes and just be like, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. You're not going to die. And then when you're walking around the top of the, what's the other one that's in New York? That's real high that you get to go out and.
Well, they have the World Trade Center observation decks, but obviously those are gone.
Yeah,
No,
that used to be the big
something
one.
else. But anyway, that it's a little narrow thing that you're walking. I did not like that either. Because I just think one crazy person could just lift you up and throw you over the edge. And then you start looking at everybody going, I'm surprised no one's done that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they've had their suicide attempts and stuff out there for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of security. I will say that. There were everywhere.
Well, most of those buildings are not like, they have layers and layers of security built to, the fencing and all that stuff. You just can't necessarily see it from some of the footage angles that are there.
Oh, okay, well that's fair. I was
yeah.
just because there's wires, but I'm thinking, if you had a big guy, you could just pick someone up and just hurl him over the edge and be like, I don't know, she fell. It's the last time she's gonna sass.
Oh God.
I don't know. I was just thinking that, but yeah, fear factor. I think the worst thing would be tight spaces for me. What would be the worst for you, D? Even over height, which I don't like heights, but
I would actually have to agree with you. I don't like that. Heights are not my favorite, but I could do that. I could eat most things. It would be hard, but yeah.
if I could plug my nose, as long as it wasn't alive, if I could plug my nose and not smell it, I have just such
A lot
a
of times
strong
they eat
sense
like
of smell.
beetles and worms and stuff alive, and I have this really weird phobia about it not dying and going into my stomach and like growing
Laying
eggs.
an egg or trying to crawl out and it's like scratching a hole.
Is
And
there
medically, I'm very fully aware that like stomach acid would kill things, but it's still in my head. I
agree, Chip. Same. I still believe the gum thing. I don't know why. Like I literally fell asleep the other night with gum in my mouth. I was like super tired and I realized I didn't take my gum out and I didn't even put in my night guard. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, it tastes like I was chewing gum. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I fell asleep and I didn't take my gum out, which means I swallowed it. And then my first thought was, well, that's going to live there for 7 years. I'm like, that's not even true.
7 years.
Remember we were taught that as a kid?
Yeah, like your stomach's full of gum.
If you chew gum, yeah, it'll live for 7 years before it moves out and decays or whatever. So you wouldn't eat gum. I don't know. But anyway, so that's going to be in there for a while. Chip, what would be your biggest fear? Eating something then, or heights, or sauce? What?
No, like I've seen them put people's like heads in boxes and like fill it with snakes and stuff like that, and I don't
creatures
do animals.
Would be more.
Yeah.
Okay, Drew, what would yours be?
I don't know. There'd probably be a toss up between. There is some confined space stuff for me. I think that would be interesting to deal with, and then even some of the height stuff. Like for me, if you had me. I think for me, if it were like, so Chip's point, the car dangling thing, but they have you focused on doing something different versus kind of like if it was a tightrope kind of thing where you're like, and there's, I guess I would feel how high it is and then how realistic a safety is of that. But I feel like some of those, they had them on a different distracting mission to kind of make you focus on other things. And sure, you're way up in the sky, but you're focused on what's in front of you. So I think it depend on, honestly, the challenge, but
well, and would it depend if you were with someone too? So like, if you had a buddy and you're in the car and you have to get out together so you can kind of work together and talk to each other versus you were by yourself and having to talk yourself into something. Because I feel like I'd perform better if I had accountability buddy to do it. Because I'd be like, well, I don't want to let them down. And if they're up doing it, then I can probably do it. But if I was by myself, I think it would be harder to get that initial.
Yeah, that's true. Because even in those shows, you're competing against somebody else. I mean, if you're focused on the competition rather than the act, maybe, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just be with the eating stuff. I'd be done, and I struggle with it not being a phobia, but just being grossed out by it.
But I think you could stop that at any point, right? Like, so you start to put it in your mouth, and you're like, okay, I'm just out. Like you just either don't put it in, or you just spit it out. You're done. But the head in the box thing that Chip you're talking about, because again, that's claustrophobic, right? Mine is more if you pin my arms down. My arms are free. I have a little I don't get as weird about that, but if that's the case, like you have to wait for them to come and lock your head out of the box. And that 15 seconds where those things are like touching you, that'd be a long 15 seconds.
Now you said that, mine would be suffocation. Definitely. Like you reach that point of like, if you had to do. Yep.
If you tap out, you got to wait.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to do like an underwater challenge or you had to do something that you couldn't breathe for a bit, and your success focused on accomplishing something, I think that would be scarier to me than most, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that
you pass out. I don't know why, but yeah, like you're just going to black out and pass out. But the whole fear of drowning or, suffocating, I guess.
Yeah, I think it started off good and then it got crazy. But I did love Joe Rogan in that because he was hilarious. He was like so sweet to all of the participants. He's like, it's okay, you can do it. And they're like breaking down and he's just like trying to, I don't know. But it did kind of get a little out of control there at the end, I think.
Well, they had
Where
to keep
I think that Naked and Afraid is more about your teamwork and survival, like with not much. So I don't know. I think I'd rather. I don't know. I think I'd rather do one of those.
Yeah, I teased Kevin. He loves Naked and Afraid. He was like, I'd love to do that. I'm like, your lips get chapped and you freak out. I'm like, how you gonna be naked in the woods for 21 days?
That is kind of funny, right? You're like, this water is like, I was just thinking, I'm like, I need some ice. Like, and then I would be really good, like out there in the. Well, you guys wouldn't even drink the water at the conference because you said it tasted bad. And like, you're not going to go out there.
And this last one I watched, the woman
Come
was
on.
like, after they boiled the water, she's like, it's like smoky, like tea water, and but then she'd like drink it and then puke it up.
I know it's like pukey, smoky tea water. I don't know. I just think I think it's kind of funny. I do know there are things out there we don't know, but I also think when it comes to it, we're probably us group. We're not going to be the ones to find it. I'm not going to go out there looking for it. If they're out there and they don't want to be found, just let them be. That's what I say.
That's a job for Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Well, with drones though, do you think it's
Yeah.
going to be long before we haven't gone anywhere? Because they have underwater drones now. They have
Sure.
like all these air drones that can find everything. I don't think they're going to, I think we're either going to be very excited or very disappointed because we can't be this, you can't see everything for very long with our
Yeah, well-
technology changing.
Yeah, some of that drone stuff. I mean, other than infrared, but the hard part would be the density of the forest. That'd be, or the ocean. I see them. I think that's why they keep coming with creatures. They keep pushing the depth of how far our technology can go before it crushes and breaks. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, because of the pressure,
Pressure in the water.
Yeah.
But infrared, you think they would, and that's kind of the hard part. Infrared, you might think you're seeing Sasquatch, but it's a much smaller person or animal thing.
Right.
So it's hard to really make it out.
That's fair. Well, and anymore now, I think people see stuff on the internet, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's real. Like, did you see the koala bear one? It's obviously fake. It's like a wet koala bear that looks like, I don't know what they put, like they did things on the teeth. And it's not real, but someone was like, oh my gosh, can you imagine? It's not real. I don't know. But I'm sure there's a documentary on it, Chip.
On the wet koala?
I don't know. I just feel like people go, well, it's a documentary. Oh, therefore, because it's a documentary, it's real. There's no documentaries that happen that are not truthful.
Well, I mean, documentaries are true stories. That's what makes it a documentary. Otherwise, it'd be a movie.
It is not necessarily true. Oh my God. A documentary just means they film it differently. It's not necessarily true.
What do you mean, film it differently?
A documentary doesn't mean it's true. There are documentaries all the time about someone's like opinion, and then they go and they interview people and they do. That doesn't mean it's truthful. It's just a
I don't
documentary.
know what kind of documentaries you're watching. I'm not watching those kind of documentaries.
Well, on that note, I say that we leave because now I'm like, all right, that is where half of the breakdown happens. Is there's a documentary, so it's truthful. Dee, I hope you feel better. I'm sorry you're sick.
Hey, thanks.
So get better. Stop taking polls and.
If it helps you look as bad as you feel.
I know when I jumped on this morning, I was like, I should turn my camera off. This is bad.
Oh, bless your heart. No, you look fine. You look fine. Well, we hope you feel better. We're probably not going to see you then.
No, not
'Cause
unless
are you quarantined?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want COVID.
You still can't smell.
Nope.
I
It'll
don't-
be 2 years pretty soon.
Yeah. I hope you don't lose your smell, Dee. Chip, did you lose yours?
I didn't lose my smell or taste.
Okay.
Luckily.
Have you lost yours yet?
I almost lost my life, but
There's a documentary right there.
hey, I was really sick.
I know you texted me that you were dying, and then I was worried about you. And Kevin goes, "He's fine. He's just laying on the floor."
I know that's
do you-
my
have you lost
family. What's that?
Have you lost?
I can't taste anything, but I can still smell okay.
That's how it starts.
Yeah,
Well, you never had good taste in men anyway, so this
that's true.
will just be right up there. Chip was busy, so I thought I would just add in the commentary.
I appreciate all of you.
You are welcome. We love you. We love you. Well, let us know if you believe in any of these creatures that we're talking about today, or what you would do. But I'm glad I am not on any of those shows, and that I am going to just have a latte and go about my day. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we can do some sort of contest. See who can like challenge the fear more out of the four of us.
I'm
We
made
could.
more for like keeping up with the Kardashians.
That's a documentary too, you know. All that.
Yeah, no, it is not. That is a reality show. That
Yeah,
see,
something like that.
you're confused about what shows are. So.
That's a whole nother issue. So